Welcome back to our Read Aloud. We are in the middle of reading Medicine Walk by Ardith Mayer. We are on chapter 3. At the end of chapter 2, Burr Henderson is realizing that he needs to get out of this Arizona desert by himself. So here we go, chapter 3, the first day. The morning was hot, the air was thin and dry, and the sky was faded blue that promised no relief. I had spent my first night huddled into a cranny in another of the dry washes that seemed to runnel the whole area. I'd been as cold then as I was hot now. There was a hogback ridge ahead. Again. I seemed to do nothing but climb up or climb down. I was one huge ache, a dry ache. I was thirsty, more than thirsty. But I didn't touch the water bottle. I wasn't doing so well as those old Apache, not by a long shot. I had taken a mouthful of water early and maybe traveled a mile before I swallowed it. I hope to do a lot better next time. Just having water in my mouth helped a lot. It held off the raspy throated feeling. My tongue didn't behave like used sandpaper. At noon, I'd take another mouthful and try to hold it half the afternoon, if I could. I was moving carefully, checking for loose rock and unexpected holes. A broken leg would mean the end out here. Still, even that was getting to be automatic, and my mind kept wandering off, spinning strange notions. Mom drifted out of a clump of rock up ahead. She was wearing the blue jumpsuit she liked best. In her hands was a glass of lemonade. "Hurry, Burr! It'll get warm before you drink it," she was urging me. I could see her bronze hair moving in the breeze. Her bandana stuck in her hip pocket. It was fluttering, too. I almost let go and ran to her, but I caught myself. That wasn't here and now. That was the morning of the awful day. I had run then, grabbed the glass, and gulped down the liquid. She'd tousled my hair with her strong fingers and said, "Want to go with me, old chum? It's going to be an exciting show, and your Aunt Martha would love for you to be there." I had grinned at her over the rim of the glass. Yeah, I know how much she likes my comments on her paintings. Thanks, Mom, but no thanks. I like pictures, but I hate fine arts. Or maybe I just don't like the kind of people that go to things like that. I'd rather stay here and go scavenging with Charlie. She had laughed that deep chuckle that always made me feel good. I don't really blame you. The arty ones turned me off too. But Martha would be hurt if I didn't show up. Have fun and don't get snake bit. I hadn't even kissed her goodbye. That still rankled deep down inside where nobody knew it but me. And before she got to town, a truck creamed her little sports car. I shook my head hard and came to, standing on the rocky slope. I didn't need that kind of a thing. I had to keep my mind on what I was doing, not on wandering around in a daze, daydreaming. That was a good way to get killed, and I knew it all too well. At noon, I paused on the top of a ridge. There was a stunted pinon growing there, and I thought of something Nachito had told me. I pulled a handful of fragrant needles and tucked them into my pocket. One I put into my mouth and chewed. The acid made my mouth water, which was all good. A cheap drink, though not very satisfying. Still, it was enough to let me swallow a pinch of raisins and half an apricot. I left the bottle untouched. It was a matter of pride now. I angled down the other side of the ridge. Its twin loomed ahead, and I groaned. All the relatives who had visited us had raved over the mountains in Arizona. It was sure and certain that they hadn't had to walk over them. Not only was it exhausting, but I was having trouble keeping directions straight in my head, with what all the going up and down and back and forth and finding passable places. I must have traveled 12 or 15 miles since I had set out, but I probably hadn't gone more than 5 miles east, if that. I lucked into a game trail about halfway down the ridge. It meandered among the rocky ledges, but it was better than trying to find a way deep down the steep slope with no guide at all. I was stepping along, half in a dream again, and fussing at myself about it, when I heard a buzzing rattle. I froze. Where was it? I turned my eyeballs in their sockets, not moving anything else. Right to left, back again. There! Up ahead, its dusty colors hiding against the baked rock and dust of the trail, was a diamondback. Its head was forward, forked tongue testing the air. Its tail was quivering furiously. I hate snakes. I'm not exactly afraid of them. Something in my inside just squirms when I see the way they move. But I was afraid of this one. To be bitten out here alone would be bad, fatally bad. Something popped into my mind. Charlie handled snakes, live ones, rattlers, and all. He had never been bitten. What was it that Ch3 had told him? I could see the seamed saddle-colored face, the narrow squinted eyes, as the old man oiled harness the leather and talked, while we polished bits and stirrups. The snake, he is part of the land. He is wise in his own way, and he is dangerous, for he knows his own way. A man knows more than a snake. He can cow a snake if he doesn't smell fear. A serpent knows one thing. A fearful man is dangerous to him. He will strike if he smells fear on you. But if you are not afraid, not a little bit, you can calm him. You can make him wonder, deep in that small, strange brain, what it is that you are and can do. And then you are the winner. That had been something Ch3 had worked out for himself, I thought, for none of the Apache hands hadn't seemed to know about it. But it sounded as if it might be true. Ch3 usually knew what he was talking about. I stared at the long coiled shape. I made myself relax, muscle by muscle, without moving a peg. My nerves quit jumping and lay quiet. My breathing eased. My hands unclenched. The snake's head lowered to a point just above the first coil. The buzz change, its pitch was different. The diamondback wasn't a horrible-looking creature once you thought about it. It was beautiful in its own way, strong and sleek, patterned in subdued colors, just right for its world. And the poison, it was no worse than my own ability to pick up a stick and smash the creature flat. I looked into the serpent's eyes. It lowered its head even more. I didn't blink, but I set my will against that of the snake. I urged it with all of my might to go on about its business among the rocks. The rattle rasped irritably. Time crawled past. The sun moved slowly down toward the top of the ridge high above, though I didn't spare much thought for it. And at last, the snake began uncoiling. It curled its head about, as if looking for a direction. I willed harder than ever, sweat pouring off of me from the sun now, not from fear, and the rattler slid away among the rocks. My knees felt weak, my heart was pounding, but not with fear. I had been working harder those past few minutes than ever before in my life. And I'd won. A feeling of triumph swept over me. Ch3 had been right, and I'd been able to use his words to make myself unafraid. If I could do this much, maybe I just might make it. My head was light with relief when I went on. The trail eased down into the cooler bowl of shadow that was the eastern slope of the ridge, safe now from the sun. I picked up my pace as the going grew easier. I smelled water. That is the end of chapter 3. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow for Chapter 4. Have an awesome day.